Immediately after the protest started, we have begun to receive threatening telephone calls and letters. They increased as time went on. By the middle of January, they had risen to 30 or 40 threats a day. From the beginning of the protest, both my parents and Coretta's parents always had the unconscious and often conscious fear that something fatal might befall us. Now, I want you to listen to his words. This is the Dr. King that we've all seen stated. And I want you to listen to go, how early was this? Because he only had one child when he wrote this letter. Right? So how long he walked with this. Says, they never had a doubt about the rightness of our actions, but they were concerned about what might happen to us. My father made a beaten path between Atlanta and Montgomery throughout the days of the protest. Every time I saw him, I went through a deep feeling of anxiety because I knew that my every move was driving my father deeper and deeper into a state of worry. During those days, he could hardly mention the many harassments that Coretta, the baby, and I were subjected to without shedding tears. As the weeks passed, I began to see that many of the threats were in earnest. Soon I felt myself faltering and growing in my own fear. One day, a white friend told me that he had heard from reliable sources that plans were being made to take my life. For the first time, I realized that something could happen to me. One night at a mass meeting, I found myself saying, if one day you find me sprawled out dead, I do not want you to retaliate with a single act of violence. I urge you to continue protesting with the same dignity and discipline you have shown so far. Breathe, you guys, breathe. Breathe. A strange silence came over the audience, much like now, you guys. And I just have to say, you feel it because now you got to be with him through the journey and not just the legend. See, we've only been acknowledging the legend. And this gift requires us to acknowledge the son, the father, the husband, the man, the obedient child of God, surrendering in his own fear to his gift, to his gift. One night, toward the end of January, I settled into bed late after a strenuous day. Coretta had already fallen asleep. And just as I was about to doze off, the telephone rang. An angry voice said, "Listen, nigger, we taking all we want to take from you. Before next week, you'll be sorry you ever came to Montgomery." I hung up the phone, but I couldn't sleep. It seemed that all of my fears had come down on me all at once. I had reached the saturation point. I got out of bed and began to walk the floor. I had heard these things before, but for some reason, that night, it got to me. I turned over and tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't. I was frustrated, bewildered, so I got up. Finally, I went to the kitchen and heated up a pot of coffee. I was ready to give up. With my cup of coffee sitting untouched before me, I tried to think of a way to move out of the picture without appearing a coward. Y'all don't understand. See, y'all getting it. I sat there and I thought about a beautiful little daughter who had just been born. I come in night after night and see that little gentle smile. I started thinking about a dedicated, loyal wife who was over there asleep. And she could be taken from me, or I could be taken from her. And I got to the point that I couldn't take it any longer. I was weak. Somebody gonna get their blessing just in this message. Something said to me, you can't call on daddy now, Martin. You can't even call on mama right now. You've got to call on that something in that person that your daddy used to tell you about. That power that can make a way out of no way. With my head in my hands, I bowed over the kitchen table and I prayed aloud. The words I spoke to God that midnight are still vivid in my memory. Lord, I'm down here trying to do what's right. I think I'm right. I'm here taking a stand for what I believe is right. But Lord, I must confess that I'm weak now. I'm faltering now. I'm losing my own courage. Now I'm afraid. And I can't let the people see me like this. Because if they see me weak and losing my courage, they will begin to get weak. See, he made it about something in him, okay? The people are looking to me for leadership. And if I stand before them, sorry, I can't read my tears. If I stand before them without strength and courage, they too will falter. I am at the end of my powers. I have nothing left. I've come to a point where I can't face it alone. It seemed as though I could hear the quiet assurance of an inner voice saying, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And know I will be with you, even until the end. I tell you, this is Martin speaking, I tell you, I've seen the lightning flash, and I've heard the thunder roar. I felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But that night, I heard the voice saying, still, fight on.